It's unfortunate what happened in society and in opposition team, because having lower socioeconomic status is a massive correlation with your likelihood to commit crime. We see areas in an economically depressed conditions that have poor educational opportunities and poor upward mobility are overwhelmingly more likely to commit crime. And that was the reality that we want to minimize in team government, the likelihood in which those people were put into that dynamic again, and minimizing the instruction of having a better life and attempting to reform themselves. Because opposition team refused to engage with the reality that having a job, having a livelihood or respect in social networking that comes from having a job is essential to having a life you feel is worth living as an ex-criminal. So there are three questions in this debate. First, should employers be allowed to discriminate like this? Second, will it create better rehabilitation and integration? And last, is past criminality a sufficient indicator to allow discrimination? So first question, should employers be allowed to discriminate? We don't think so, for three reasons. First, when you have unique ability to rehabilitate somebody, when you are the only person who can offer a job, the dignity, the reliability, and also the networks that comes from having employment, we say that obligation should rest with the individual that able to deploy that, which is the employers, because the state shouldn't and couldn't give all criminal a job. It could not overcome that unique form of discrimination, the burdensome oppression that comes from not having the ability to earn your own way. So when it is true that the state is not able to redress that problem, employers, as the one who in power to give you a job, should have the responsibility to overcome that burden. We say that this is the same logic as we recognize why the state shouldn't just give all welfare to those who are poor. It is still require employers to also facilitate access to employment and jobs to these poor people. So that employers should have the obligation placed on them in exchange of the ability to be an employer and also having all of the privilege that comes from operating a business. That is very important. Second reason, I think the biggest problem in opposition team is that they are okay with allowing continuing punishment by the employer. We said that the person who should determine the length of your sentence are the court and the state, because first, they have the best information, second, they have the best ability to predict, and last, they are the ones that are trusted by society to do it. We don't think other actors can predict the right sentences and the right consequences that will come along from your sentence, so that other actors, including the employers, are not cannot confidently describe the appropriate sentences for you because they are biased and drummed up in their fear. We said that this is something that's very bad, and only states and court can accommodate that. But last reason, I think that this is the way for employers to discriminate specific identity. This is the way for employers to cover their racism behind criminal record. We're talking about the case from my second speaker about racial profiling of African American and Latino in the United States, with the case where 10% of young African American males are in prison and another 40% have previously been to prison. We're talking about that, then 50% of African American males cannot get a job anywhere. This is a very easy way for employers or company to be a racist and to discriminate against them. So that this is very bad. Thus, we don't think that employers should have the ability to discriminate like this. But second question, will it create better rehabilitation and integration? We heard from their side that you don't need a job in order to be rehabilitated because lots of people don't have a job. I've already said to you that there's an overwhelming correlation between those who are poor and those who are committing crime. We have portrayed in my first speaker that there's a lack of social networks and support within that community. And it is not just about whether you can eat and feed your family, but it is also about you have access to meaningful job that allows you to have working conditions that suit your ability to exist in life, which is something that is very important and very meaningful to those who just got out of jail and wanted to reform themselves. They also said that there are other reasons not to offend. We told you right from the start that your decision about whether or not you offend or re-offend is a complex and competing matrix of choices. There's social stigma, there's the likelihood of getting caught, and even the magnitude of the punishment. All of those things play in, and if we can understand exactly why people committing crime, we will stop that a long time ago, but we didn't. The reality is, the information we do have is that the way people don't have the support and always treated like criminals even after they finish their sentence, oftentimes are ostracized in society and stigmatized, that makes them unable to function like the regular society. That's when they are most likely to engage again in that behavior of offending crime, which is very exclusive in opposition side of the house. But then they also said, if that were true, then rehabilitation couldn't ever work, because people have this overwhelming tendency to commit crime. At least in our side, we give them the support networks they really need. We give them the protection and we would be also the one that taking away the barrier for them to integrate them back to society, because then later on in our side they can be treated like somebody who wasn't a criminal. They have more opportunities to engage, to integrate themselves, but moreover they have more opportunities to move on and to be better. We said that is why it is much better in our side. The last question, is past criminality a sufficient indicator? Opposition team said that the previous violation of social norm shows they have a poor moral code, basically saying that once you're a criminal, always be criminal. 3 responses for that. First, crimes are overwhelmingly mistakes and error of a huge range of mitigating factors, and we sentence those people according to the seriousness of their crime. So they say that it is okay. But also second, we concede that it is often not the case. You can make a mistake and be convicted, and there's nothing wrong with your moral code. You made a one-off error that the court recognized, and that doesn't necessarily make you the devil. But lastly, anyway, the reason why all sentences except life sentence have time limit is because court recognize that these people will change one way or another and will integrate back to society, because that's the point of criminal justice system, right? Or even talking about policy in many countries, which criminal can stay in jail faster or even longer than the actual punishment that the court has given to them based on the judgment of their readiness to go back and to integrate. That's emphasize my second speaker argument, that if these people really are bad as what opposition say, then they will stay in jail forever. But they didn't, right? They go out of the jail. So we said that we have to treat them as if someone that is better in our side. So the parameter that they use in opposition team is very unfair and very arbitrary. So let's engage to the very, very worst case scenario, that this criminal got rejected in both sides. It will be worse on their side, because when they got rejected, they realize that it is because of their past, something that can never be changed. They will blame themselves, but eventually realizing that what the problem is coming from the society, they will eventually go back to that dark life they used to have, but at least can accommodate them. It will be better in our side. When these criminal records are not taken into account, but they still got rejected anyway by company, they will realize it is probably because of their capacity. They will try to be better, they will try to continue their education, they will probably lowering their standard and go seek for a job that is more suitable with their capacity. In our side, there is always more room and opportunities to grow and to be better. In their side, these people will succumb and blame themselves for the discrimination, and at worst, they will realize that the only life that is suitable for them is criminal life, and we don't want that to happen. For all of those reasons, we're very proud to propose.
So, satu kali